Today we will be reviewing a channel called Prager U. As you can see, Prager U is a pseudo-intellectual echo chamber. In Prager U, you can see the propaganda that can control the minds of millions. Their narrative is based on exploitation and domination. Today we will actually see how they lie to you, how they lie to millions of people, and how they try to spread their propaganda to those that have not done any research.
When I got out of bed the morning of May 31st, 2020, after a sleepless night, I knew I had to do something. I didn't know what or what I would say. I saw the protests and the riots. I'd heard all the accusations about racism, racial injustice, and police brutality. I was horrified by what happened to Mr. George Floyd, but I was also horrified about what was happening to my adopted country, my beloved America. And I just couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't keep it inside. So I went to one of these protests and I did the most American thing I could think of. I told the protesters exactly what I thought. I admit it. I wasn't very diplomatic. Maybe that's why my remarks went viral. You can find them easily on YouTube. Many people admired me for what I said. Many hated me. I don't care either way. I didn't do this for me. I did it for America, the greatest country in the world. And I know what I'm talking about.
Black Lives Matter is a joke!
Yup.
You are the racist! The racist is you! It's because the white guy killed that you think they're racist. The racist, the Black Lives Matter. Go to Chicago! They don't have schools! And they die every day. They don't matter. Because you can get attention from that. Go to Southeast. Shut up. Nobody will know the Black Lives Matter. Group of hypocrites. Go to Southeast DC, Northeast. Tell them Black Lives Matter. If it matters, it should matter everywhere. You guys are hypocrites. Attention seekers. Attention seekers. Black lives should matter everywhere. It doesn't take a white cop to kill a black person to matter.
So I'm here today because I heard about a demonstration on, the George Floyd event, situation, which I'm going to be honest about it. It's wrong that, anything like that should happen, okay? It's very wrong. My problem is it shouldn't be an opportunity for a group of people to use that as an excuse or to come across as victims. No one is a victim here. The only victim here is George Floyd. Let's be very clear.
Everybody knows that black kills black more than anything. You know that. It doesn't take a white person to kill them for you to come out. Hypocrites!
Just leave.
You leave.
I'm present.
Let
You
me
leave.
Let me leave.
I don't want to make you.
Make me leave. Bunch of hypocrites. Black lives matter only when a white person touch a black person. Do you know how many black kids got killed in Northeast DC this morning? What did you do? You guys are the racists.
What did you do besides come out here and provoke shit?
No,
So go out there.
and
So
tell
go
the
out there and help.
black lives
So go out
matter.
there and help then.
Go tell
Stop
the
coming
black
out here.
person black lives matter. Then they will take you seriously. Everybody
Right,
thinks you
right.
guys as a joke.
You a joke, because you playing. Go out there and
you
do
guys
it.
are the joke.
You a joke.
What are you doing for the Chicago kids who are dying every day?
What you doing for?
Do you go there and tell them black lives matter?
You going?
Make me go.
You going?
Make me go.
You so supportive of them going?
Make me go.
As an American citizen, I'm proud of this country. I love this country. I don't want my country to be portrayed like this.
This woman has no legitimate reason for rejecting Black Lives Matter. She shouts racist. She accuses them of all these things that she herself is actually doing. She used talking points common around people that think blacks are undeserving of higher standards of living. She says they do more crime. She also says that they kill each other more than white people. Those talking points are from someone that is privileged. And this is coming from someone that hates identity politics, cancel culture, and several other things that come from liberals. Plus, she has nothing to truly prove her claims.
I was born in Cameroon, a country in West Africa. My family lived day to day, simply trying to survive. When I hear people talk about corruption and civil rights abuses here in the US, I shake my head. They never lived in Cameroon, or anywhere within 1,000 miles of Cameroon. That's for sure. I came to the United States for what I could never have in my native land. freedom and happiness, the opportunity to get a good education, to earn a good living, to build a good life for myself. And that's exactly what I've done. That's what America has allowed me to do. And for that, I am eternally grateful. Since coming to the United States, I have trained in nursing and worked as a visiting nurse assistant. Recently, I received my master's in healthcare administration, and I am now working as a healthcare executive. My career ambition is to close the gap in healthcare outcomes and design new and better strategies to ensure that underserved populations get the healthcare services they need. I also serve as a reservist in the United States Air Force. And yes, I look forward to getting married and starting a family. My life is grounded in a simple truth. There is no better place to live for anyone of any race than America. And everybody outside of America knows it. That's why they line up, like I did, at US embassies around the world, hoping for a chance to come here to live and work. This is truly the line of opportunity. So, don't go around trashing it. I don't care where you come from, or what your complaint is, or what your skin color is. I'm not having it.
There are so many fallacies and so many biases in this video. From the flag-waving rhetoric to the island mentality, these videos that Prager U produces are nothing but a pile of trash.
And that brings me back to May 31st, at that park in Washington, D.C. Mr. Floyd should not have died as he did. But make no mistakes, Black Lives Matter and their allies are using George Floyd's death to split Americans apart at the very moment we should be coming together. They're striking at the heart of this country, twisting the knife of white guilt with one hand and black resentment with the other. These protests are not about empowering black people. They are about disempowering black people. Because when the fire stops burning, all that remains is hopelessness, anger, and shame. That's not empowerment. That's oppression. Look at the innocent victims, the business owners, many of them black, who've lost their lives' work to looting and arson. What are they supposed to do now? Who cleans up the graffiti and the shattered glass? Who rebuilds? Who, after seeing their dreams go up in smoke, even wants to? Every week in Chicago, New York, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., black criminals kill black men, women, and children. Children! Do you know the name of a single one of them? Why don't their lives matter? Where are the protests for them? Why do we only get angry when a white police officer kills a black man, while dozens of our brothers and sisters are mowed down every weekend in our neighborhoods? Black Lives Matter and its supporters, with their bottomless obsession with racism, pretend to be leading us to a better future, but in fact, they're setting us into a spiral of self-destruction. It was an intense struggle for me to get to America. I love it too much to stand aside and watch it be torn apart. Stand with me. I'm not oppressed. I'm not a victim. I am a free American. I'm Nestra Yumga for Prager University.
This video has too much similarities to George Orwell's 1984.
Venezuela, where I was born and still have family, bad. Cuba, bad. Zimbabwe, bad. Soviet Union, bad. China under Mao, bad. Sweden, Denmark, Norway, good. This is the socialist report card as it currently stands. Never mind that Venezuela, Cuba, Zimbabwe, the Soviet Union, Mao's China were once good. Once they go bad, they stay bad and are quickly forgotten, lost down the memory hole.
Oh my God! Wow! Oh my God!
But those Nordic paradises, they never let you down. Whenever Bernie, the squad, and the growing horde of democratic socialists ever get cornered, there's always, like Denmark, to come to the rescue. No, we don't want anything like what's going on in Venezuela. Denmark is what we have in mind. Except they don't. And it's time we all figured this out before it's too late. Here's what you need to know about Scandinavian countries. They are capitalists in wealth creation and socialists in wealth distribution. They have low corporate taxes, around 20%, no higher than in America.
Sorry, that's a big fat lie. Scandinavian countries tend to have a 40% tax rate. That's way above America's tax rate for the rich. Prager U doesn't realize that taxes to 70% were common in the 1960s to the 1980s. It seems like Prager U wants to revise history.
Unlike America, neither Norway nor Sweden nor Denmark has a government-set minimum wage. Most make it very easy to start a new business. Most have private health care and education options. Yes, the Nordic countries have an expansive welfare state, but everyone pays into the system, rich, middle class, and poor. Nobody escapes the taxman because nobody escapes the 25% value-added tax. This sales tax, a tax on what you buy, is regressive, meaning it falls much more heavily, percentage of income-wise, on the poor and the middle class than it does on the rich. This concept is a complete non-starter for American socialists who want only the rich to pay more, even though America's tax system is already steeply progressive. The rich, the top 10%, pay about 70% of all income taxes. But for the socialists, it never seems to be enough.
They have nothing to back up that claim. The rich pay less taxes than the poor. The most fascinating thing about this is that the rich have less taxes than before, while the poor have an increase in their tax rate.
So, if the American left has rejected the Scandinavian model, which model is it embracing? Well, where do the leading figures of the American left, from Sean Penn to Michael Moore and Bill Ayers, go when they want to praise socialism? Here's a hint. When was the last time you saw Bernie in Copenhagen? First, it was the Soviet Union. Then it was Cuba. Then it was Venezuela. Venezuelan socialism, like current American socialism, is based on sowing social division. The left in Venezuela divided the country not merely between the rich and the poor, but white and black or brown, between Europeans, Africans, and indigenous people. Hugo Chavez made much of his black and Indian roots. Venezuelan socialists were bringing down statues of Columbus long before American leftists did. Once you establish the villain class, taking away their wealth is not hard to do. Whatever Chavez and now his successor Nicolás Maduro wanted, they took. Or, if you care about moral clarity, they stole. Always, like the French and Russian revolutions in the name of equality. It didn't start out that way, of course. It never does. Chavez portrayed himself as a moderate in his early presidential campaigns. Expropriations came later. What Chavez and Maduro achieved at the end of a gun, the American left would achieve through extremely high taxation on income, wealth, and inheritance. But we shouldn't leave guns out of this discussion. In 2010, Venezuelan socialists started a campaign to disarm law-abiding citizens under the guise of stopping gun violence. They called it Desarma la Violencia. When citizens, now unarmed, began to protest the corruption and tyranny of the socialist government, Chavez and then Maduro unleashed a group of criminal thugs, the colectivos, to terrorize them. Their specific targets included small business owners, entrepreneurs, farmers, and clergy. There are no colectivos or Antifa in Scandinavia. Venezuela is now a cautionary tale. All the people you see on the news rummaging through garbage cans or standing in line to get food, toilet paper, and gas, those are the ordinary.
Nosotros contentos, pues, porque en definitiva el pueblo venezolano elige al presidente de Venezuela.
Yo soy negra y pobre, como esclava más nunca.
We need very bad, so bad, and we need freedom with wide open.
3, 2, 1.
So this is our first day in Caracas. We've arrived amidst what appears to be an attempted coup taking place. So the Venezuelan opposition politician Juan Guaidó has declared himself president. The US government and other European countries have actually recognized Guaidó as the legitimate president of Venezuela. Now, international media have been putting out daily reports which make Venezuela look to be a war zone right now, but we've been traveling around the capital, Caracas, for a few hours, and the streets are actually quite calm. There's just a lot of people getting on with their daily lives.
Vecina, ¿cómo estás? Patricia, hola mami.
¿Y el barrio ha cambiado mucho desde que viviste acá?
Sí, en este espacio montamos, gracias a Chávez, traímos la orquesta sinfónica aquí. Nunca en el barrio, nunca había pasado eso en el barrio. Vámonos por aquí, porque este es el callejón donde yo nací, donde me crié. Ahí pasé toda mi infancia, la pasé en ese callejón. Este callejón no tenía agua, ¿viste? En el gobierno de Chávez, para el 2012 empezaron los trabajos con un programa que era mejoramiento de barrio y nos pusieron todo el agua con los vecinos. Se trabajó con los vecinos.
Entonces, Chávez y la revolución para ti eran una importante, parte
son muy importantes,
pero importante para tu propia politización, pues.
Claro, porque te da participación activa, porque tú pasas por un proceso de participación activa donde tú realmente construyes tu destino. Claro que no es fácil. Hay gente que se niega a transferirle el poder al pueblo. Votamos por Maduro. ¿Y por qué votamos por Maduro? Porque es Maduro. No votamos ni siquiera por Maduro, votamos por un proyecto político. Están arregladas las casas por todas las políticas de Estado que queremos defender. Por eso, todas estas puertas, mire, todavía tienen el plástico. La puso Barrio Nuevo, Barrio Tricolor, casi todos los barrios. Hay una intervención directa de la comunidad con Barrio Nuevo, Barrio Tricolor. Esta crisis no es de ahorita. Ahorita está fuerte porque la oposición y el imperio norteamericano están desesperados. Algo necesita el imperio norteamericano, no sé si será petróleo, será gas, será agua, ¿qué necesitará? Pero está desesperado por meterle la mano. Y aquí la oligarquía que no quiere en Venezuela perdió privilegios, porque la riqueza antes la tenían unos poquitos, ahora está siendo socializada.
Following Hugo Chávez's death in 2013 and with the onset of an economic crisis in 2014, previous gains in reducing poverty and income inequality have reversed under his elected successor Nicolás Maduro. But today the government retains significant support from the country's poor and is bitterly resisted by Venezuela's traditional elites. In this shopping centre in the wealthy east side of Caracas, shoppers were adamant they wanted regime change.
Hoy vemos que existe una voluntad muy grande por parte de las democracias del mundo en que Venezuela vuelva a prosperar.
¿Y piensa que el gobierno estadounidense tiene un papel a jugar?
Han operado en pro de frenar a estas personas que son criminales y que hoy conforman parte del régimen.
Entonces nosotros le queremos agradecer a ustedes porque sabemos que también medios internacionales han tenido arremetidas por el régimen. Entonces hoy todo el respaldo de los países, pero también de los medios internacionales ha sido fundamental.
It was striking that opposition supporters viewed the foreign media as vital allies in their pursuit of regime change. As we left the shopping centre, the restaurants and bars were filling up with Venezuelans getting ready to party. There was little sign of the humanitarian crisis the mainstream media are telling us has engulfed Venezuela.
We're on our way to meet Jesus Garcia. He's a cultural activist. We're actually going to meet him in the Robert Serra Cultural Centre, which was set up in 2014 after the assassination of Robert Serra, who was a Chavista legislator in the National Assembly. He was murdered by paramilitaries who'd come over from Colombia. We're going to meet him at this house, which was actually burnt just a few weeks ago, totally vandalised, set on fire by opposition militants. On the very same day that Juan Guaidó declared himself as president.
Sí, quemaron esto, lanzaron artefactos explosivos hacia la entrada y quemaron toda la parte de arriba. De arriba había una biblioteca.
¿Por qué tú crees que eligieron enfocarse a atacar este lugar en específico?
Yo creo que es el odio que ha promovido la oposición en el país hacia todo lo que ellos denominen como chavista, es lo que genera que mucha gente de repente vea una casa cultural con el nombre de un compañero, un camarada chavista como lo fue Robert Serra, y buscan atacar la casa por el simple hecho de que se llame Robert Serra, por el simple hecho de que identifique una relación con el chavismo.
Over there is the US Embassy, where diplomats under both Republican and Democratic presidents have been working to overthrow the Venezuelan government for the past 20 years. Prior to 1999, Venezuela was seen as an important and reliable ally to the US, precisely because of its vast oil wealth. But when Chavez was elected in 1999, that changed.
In 2002, Washington supported a military coup which briefly saw Chavez overthrown. And according to US government documents, between 2000 and 2014, the US donated around $90 million to opposition groups. This figure is now likely to be much higher and increases even further if you also include secret covert funding. In 2014, Barack Obama declared Venezuela a threat to US national security and imposed sanctions which affected government officials, but also Venezuela's ability to borrow on the international market. But since becoming president in 2017, Donald Trump has escalated Washington's regime change efforts to unprecedented levels, openly declaring that a military invasion could be on the table and hitting Venezuela with a de facto financial and oil embargo. The effects have been catastrophic, reportedly costing Venezuela $6 billion just in lost oil income to date. In a devastating indictment, the first UN rapporteur to visit Venezuela for 21 years said the sanctions are illegal, are killing Venezuelans, and could amount to crimes against humanity under international law.
¿No te da miedo una intervención militar?
No, en absoluto. Eso es más que todo, yo creo que es lo que se necesita.
Qu'est-ce que vous voulez savoir? Estamos haciendo esto democráticamente, no tenemos armas, que es lo que nosotros necesitamos en este momento realmente para poder salir de esta pesadilla que tenemos. Entonces es importantísimo que nos ayuden del exterior.
Gracias por el apoyo.
So people keep coming up to us, they keep saying thank you because we're the press, which actually says a whole lot about how they see the international media.
We live very bad, so bad, and we need freedom with wide open.
Estamos eternamente agradecidos al presidente Donald Trump y a el pueblo norteamericano por la ayuda que nos está prestando. Ya ellos dijeron que esto no tiene vuelta atrás y vamos a seguir con esto hasta que Maduro salga.
De la humanidad, donde somos solidarios por amor nada más.
Nosotros somos los motorizados de Venezuela, en apoyo a nuestro gran presidente Nicolás Maduro. Venezuela no está sola, nosotros estamos para respaldarla, ¿no?
Soy colombiana, soy desplazada y así como yo, habemos miles de colombianos aquí en Venezuela. ¿Quién lo recibió? Chávez, la revolución y Maduro.
¡Aquí está el pueblo de Bolívar! ¡Aquí está el pueblo!
Los medios de comunicación internacionales son unos serviles del imperio.
¿Se sienten invisibilizados?
Se sienten, quieren invisibilizar el clamor de un pueblo que eligió un presidente.
Ok, mire.
Nosotros no queremos invasiones, queremos la paz. Creemos en nuestro presidente Nicolás Maduro, que ha sido el presidente de la paz.
Y nosotros contentos, pues, porque en definitiva el pueblo venezolano elige al presidente de Venezuela. No lo impone ningún imperio, lo elige el pueblo venezolano y ya lo elegimos. Y eso es lo que estamos demostrando hoy, fuerza en la calle, demostrando que apoyamos a nuestro presidente.
Independencia y patria socialista, viviremos y venceremos.
Next questioner at the microphone over there, Mr. Edelman.
Welcome to America, Mr. Mandela. I'm Ken Edelman. Those of us who share your struggle for human rights and against apartheid have been somewhat disappointed by the models of human rights that you have held up since being released in jail. You've met over the last 6 months 3 times with Yasser Arafat, who you have praised. You have told Gaddafi that you share the view on, and applaud him on his record of human rights and his drive for freedom and peace around the world. And you have praised Fidel Castro as a leader of human rights and said that Cuba was one of the countries that's head and shoulders above all other countries in human rights, despite the fact that documents at the United Nations and elsewhere show that Cuba is one of the worst. I was just wondering, are these your models of leaders of human rights? And if so, would you want a Gaddafi or an Arafat or a Castro to be a future president of South Africa?
One of the mistakes which some political analysts make is to think that their enemies should be our enemies. That we can and we will never do. We have our own struggle which we are conducting. We are grateful to the world for supporting our struggle. But nevertheless, we are an independent organization with its own policy. And the attitude of every country towards, our attitude towards any country is determined by the attitude of that country to our struggle. Yasser Arafat, Colonel Gaddafi, Fidel Castro support our struggle to the hilt. There is no reason whatsoever why we should have any hesitation about hailing their commitment to human rights as they are being demanded in South Africa. Our attitude is based solely on the fact that they fully support the anti-apartheid struggle. They do not support it only in rhetoric. They are placing resources at our disposal for us to win the struggle. That is the position.
Mr. Mandela, you've said a number of very controversial things in that last response, and I'd like to come back to some of them when we return.
It's on occasions like this that I have so many challenges. Sorry?
Privileged and very honored.
It's a very great moment for us to be
Es
visited
un
by
gran
Fidel,
momento para nosotros estar aquí con Fidel,
because what he has done for us
porque lo que Fidel ha hecho por
is
nosotros
difficult to put in words.
es difícil de describirlo con
Porque encuentro a mi querido
First,
hermano
because I find my dear
Mandela
brother Mandela
mejor que nunca,
better than ever,
con una excelente salud.
in excellent health.
Segundo,
Secondly,
con el mismo entusiasmo que tuvo toda la
because I
vida.
find him with the same enthusiasm that he has had in his life. Apoyo que nos está dando.
And I've promised him that
Y le he
I'm going to
prometido-
discuss the matter with my office
Además,
to see whether I can be in Cuba
es algo que todavía tengo que ver con mi
even
oficina,
before the end
pero
of this year.
quiero ir a Cuba
That
antes
we'll
de finales
discuss
de
it.
este año.
Good.
Bien.
Le mostramos el pullover.
This one. Great, come on. Yeah, thanks for the invitation. Oh no, you're on top of it. Okay, guys. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
All attention.
Al cabo de 30 años del triunfo de una revolución, es dadme una idea, dadme patriotismo, dadme internacionalismo, dadme la verdad, dadme la justicia y moveremos el mundo.
Socialism is when the government does stuff. And it's more socialism the more stuff it does. And if it does a real lot of stuff, it's communism.